Hi, all. Welcome back to another Die for Ag Science Cafe interview. Today we have Christine Smith, the Executive Director of Friends of Netarts Bay, Watershed, Estuary, Beach, and Sea, or WEBS. Christine, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
If it's all right with you, we're just going to jump straight into questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So the first one, what is Friends of Netarts Bay, WEBS mission?
Yeah, so our goal is to sustain the Netarts Bay area through education and stewardship. And we do that in a variety of different ways. We fundraise through private donation and grants to offer K through 12 STEM programming within the community that gets people out into Netarts Bay, the watersheds, estuaries, beaches, and seas, and gives kids hands-on experience with inquiry-based science, giving them kind of exposure to science, but also teaching them at an early age about stewardship and environmental conservation. At our heart, we're an environmental conservation organization, environmental education organization. And so that's primarily what we do. We also do the same thing for the general public, offering opportunities for people to get out and learn about the natural environment from, salt marsh plants to birds to geology. All of these things, we just feel like if we can inspire people to take an interest in something, then they will love it and take care of it. Finally, the last thing we do is we offer stewardship-based programming so people can get out and actually engage in keeping this area healthy and thriving.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the things Friends of Netarts Bay do to promote good watershed stewardship?
Well, like I said, we're primarily an environmental education-based organization. And so we start really young. So we have programs even for pre-K. And then we go all the way up to, whoever can join and learn more. And what we do with that is that we're just, like I said before, kind of hoping to build an understanding of the natural environment and the natural resources that are here and how our actions impact them. And so we build on that foundation to kind of help create a really strong community of stewards and lifelong learners. And then we offer opportunities for people to dive a little deeper, do science themselves through community science programs, or to, take on some kind of stewardship project from like mapping invasive plants with the park so we can understand how things are changing on our landscape.
What do you enjoy most about your job?
It's a variety of things that I have to do. And so, I started off my career in oceanography, and I get to do a lot of things with the marine world now and talk about a lot of things related to marine issues and marine, ecosystem health. But I'm also, kind of up in the headlands of forests now or in stream banks and creeks. And I'm taking people there to help them understand how these environments function, how we're connected to them, how our actions change them. So I get to kind of touch a lot of different things. You guys pulled me in for this agriculture project because I have close connections to the oyster industry world. And I get to take people out to show them how do oysters actually get to your dinner plate and what is the process for growing oysters. But in that same opportunity, I can talk to them about ocean health issues that are impacting the industry. So my job is just really has a lot of variety. And I think that helps make it super exciting to do new things. And there's also a lot of freedom. So as long as I'm on mission, I can shape it to be what I think will be most impactful to our community.
All right. Kind of keying off of that last question, what is something you are passionate about?
I have a hard time with these questions.
I do as well.
Yeah. I have a lot of passions. So if I focus on career, like opposite of like my adorable children that I have running around my house, I am really, as you probably have already figured out, super excited when I can get other people really excited about nature, right? And so anytime I have an opportunity to do that, then I get really excited to do it. And one of the benefits of doing this job is that means that I can also start educating people about issues that are impacting our planet or our oceans, like ocean acidification or climate change. And I can start opening up doors to have these hard conversations about these big topics in a very non-threatening environment that helps people come to the table a little easier. And so I really like that. Um, I have to add though, that if I'm really like having a down day, then I'm really lucky that I can do this. I just kind of go down to the hatchery that's here and they have a bunch of microscopes and I can take a sample of plankton and just kind of check it out. So if I were going to say like what thing makes me really excited about the ocean, it would be all the things lurking in a microscopic drop of water. So there's two things. There's a couple things in there. It was hard for me to answer that one because like, which one do I choose? There's so many passions.
I have never heard of looking at plankton through a microscope. That is very cool.
Well, you should definitely do it.
The next question is, what is an important job skill that most people don't talk about?
I think that I don't think there's a lot of, as you're building your career and trying to figure out what you're going to do, I don't think there's a lot of talk about being flexible and the flexibility that's required in, your professional life. I know that for me, I kind of had this like vision of what it was going to be. And sometimes I got off track and it was hard to be off track, but in reality, if I were kind of more open to it, I would have realized the learning experience I was getting anyway. So I definitely think that's something that people don't talk about. It's just your flexibility and your resiliency. Even when you feel like you're a little off track, there's probably something in there that's going to help you get to where you need to go in the end.
And then what experiences helped you most in your career?
I think there's a few things that have kind of helped me most in my career. Each job I had, even if it wasn't exactly aligned with what I felt most passionate about or what I was ultimately wanting to do, gave me some kind of skill that I would not have expected, whether it's grant writing or how to use a plankton net so I can go look at that plankton sample. Or even though it's surprising, plumbing, like all of these things have come up again in my current job in some way, which is kind of an interesting thing to hear from somebody who manages a nonprofit. But I am a small nonprofit and I'm the only staff person. So really when there's things that need to get done, it's me, so I'm the one who has to, repair a clam shovel or, help figure out how to design this thing that we're going to do with the public to help them sample. So when I'm the one who has to write grants and reports. So like all of these different things that I got from these different jobs kind of helped me push along. What
was your spark as a teen and how has it changed over the years? I'm actually very curious about this one.
I fell in love with the ocean really early on. So, as a young kid, I pretty immediately longed to be at the beach or near the ocean. And I also was a big sucker for like movies that had to do with ocean drama, and so I would just find myself like gravitating toward it again and again. And then I also think at an early age, I really just kind of thought a lot about the impacts we have as people on the planet. And I really saw the waste and I saw like kind of the impacts of the convenience that we're doing, at how convenient it is to have easy access things or to drive from place to place or, have a disposable society and the impact that had on our planet. And that really stayed with me throughout time and kind of guided some of my choices.
Did you have any mentors? And if so, how did you find them? And how did that relationship help you?
I've had a handful of people in my life that have just showed me amazing skills, and they had qualities where I was like, I like this quality, like I like how this felt, or I appreciated the experience that you just gave me, or wow, this is a really tough situation and you handled that so well. And so I have a handful of people that I've worked for or with that have showed me those kind of qualities, and I kind of have kept them with me, including some of the people that are on my board now who are volunteers who give their time to help run an organization. So So I often find myself saying things like, what would Jim do? Or I wonder how Kath would handle the situation, or I wonder what Nadia would say in this difficult position. And so like when I get in a tough spot, I kind of sit back on some of these people that I carry with me through time and try and like hone their spirit to help me when I'm in those similar situations. And how did I find them is a really interesting question. Um, I don't think I sought them out. I think I just lucked into them. I have to say, too, that I have to thank my parents who put me in marine science camp a few years as a teen. Um, and I think they secretly thought I wouldn't like getting dirty and sandy and being on a boat, and that I would go back to like wanting to be a doctor or a lawyer. But they definitely gave me the opportunities to kind of pursue passions. So, yeah.
What activities can students participate in now that will help them get a career similar to yours? I think you just mentioned that camp you went to.
Yes. Camps are great, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to go in the avenue of environmental education and or education around agriculture or aquaculture industries, one of the best things you can do is find somebody that's willing to let you kind of experience that world a little bit, whether it be a volunteer at a business or taking a part-time job or a summer job. If education is really something that you're passionate about, then working as a like a camp assistant, volunteering to kind of help out at different camps is going to give you great skills. Here in where we're at, the programs we run, we actually recruit high school students to come in and lead stations with younger students. And that's great experience on so many different levels. Sometimes the students actually design inquiry projects that the students can do. So basically they help guide students in creating their own scientific research project. I have a kid that I'm going to work with this year who's going to help me at the hatchery develop displays to help talk about all the different scientific equipment that's there and like how it works and how the hatchery is monitoring for changes in pH and issues around ocean acidification. So there are great opportunities out there. They're not always very visible and easy to find, but if you start asking around, there's great opportunities for people to do it. Volunteering is a great opportunity too, especially if you're interested in kind of nonprofit, conservation-based, environmental work. Volunteering for those types of organizations is a great way to get your foot in the door and get some experience.
How do you stay motivated and inspired?
This is a really good question because to be honest, there's a lot of really great things for working for a small nonprofit. But there's also, as exciting as it can be to have a variety of things to do each day, it's also a lot of balls in the air. There's a lot of hats you have to wear. You can feel divided in a lot of different directions, and it can get a little bit hard to manage. And so one thing that I find really helpful is to connect with other nonprofit leaders that are in the same position, because we always get into the work because we're passionate about, like for me, I'm passionate about the ocean. I want to tell people about ocean acidification. I want to tell them about oysters. I want to tell them about this. But I also have to come back to the office and run my nonprofit. I have to do the budget. I have to write the grant. I have to write the report. I have to manage volunteers or manage staff, or, there's a whole economic and business side to it that isn't what I went to school for. So connecting with other leaders and other nonprofits can help you kind of vent all your frustrations, but you also share skills, share knowledge, give each other tips, help support each other, collaborate. And those are ways that I can kind of get back on track, and then helping yourself learn more things too is always really exciting.
And then kind of stemming off that, what advice would you give your younger self?
I would tell my younger self to be patient and flexible. That's what I would tell my younger self. I really thought I had it all figured out. And I was going to get there in like a really short amount of time. And I was going to be, leading scientific ocean expeditions, um, and I would say to myself, although I probably wouldn't have listened, is to be flexible with kind of that path changing, and to make sure you're listening to people as they tell you what the realities of different career choices are. Because I think that we focus on the fun piece of each job, and we get excited about that. But there's also the other part of a job. And it's about finding that right balance. Like, is the thing that you're super excited about with that job exciting enough to balance out the other parts to make it be really working for yourself personally? I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, yeah, that's some good advice. Yeah. Final two questions. What is your favorite thing about Netarts Bay?
I think my favorite, this, I don't know if this is going to be weird or not, but I love the way Netarts Bay smells. So I love standing where I can see the bay and just breathing in like the salty air. And that bay is, in my opinion, and of course I'm going to be a little biased, probably one of the most beautiful bays in Oregon, and so unique in so many different ways. Just is so oceanic, the way it flushes, the animals that are there, the industries it supports. I just love everything about it. But when I'm standing there and I can just like breathe it in, I feel like I'm breathing in the whole bay, and it just is my favorite part.
What are you most proud of?
I think that by, kind of with my team of really dedicated volunteers that I have with this organization, we've built something really strong out of very little. And I'm really proud about that. And I'm also really proud of, from a career standpoint, I'm really proud of how this organization has built bridges to so many different communities, that we have an environmental arm, an environmental stewardship. We have a conservation arm, but we also have an arm that reaches out to like the aquaculture industry. And we found a way to kind of blend those things together and have really, great, meaningful projects come from it. And so I'm really proud of that piece of it, I think.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Christine, for your time. Dive for Ag folks, look out for her Ag Science Cafe workshop, October 29th at 4 p.m. And again, thank you, Christine, for spending your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.